So obviously we missed last week. We had some scheduling issues with the combination of just many things prevented us from going live.
Yeah, it kind of sucked.
Yeah, kind of is what it is. There's no way around it. Our bad. We do, of course, want to celebrate that we very recently broke past 2 million views on Twitch.
Yay!
So
that's pretty good.
It's, that's functionally, that's a huge milestone for us. So I'm very happy about that.
I wondered. I did kind of wonder whether we would get there, actually. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it wasn't very long ago that we hit, that we hit 1 million. So very nice to see that number continue to climb at a nice pace. It is, of course, a short night. It is a good night.
Yes.
To actually have some energy today too.
Yeah, how you liveth?
Yeah, it's great to have you guys.
Good to see you. I hope you're good. Yeah, I hope you're good.
So naturally, there's been, the second I feel like the second we walk away from anything, just like things just go crazy. Apparently,
well, I mean, I
the
wouldn't
last
say that,
patch
but
was not, the most
last patch was
thing.
Yeah, no, it kind of wasn't, but yeah. But we're gonna definitely get into that in the main show for sure. There was also a lot of talk about the expansive known issues list, let's put it that way, and how people were sort of, I don't know, they seem to be in shock of how big the known issues list was. So we kind of did a bit of a, I did a bit of a kind of a run through, kind of a bit of a, I wouldn't say a deep dive, but like I kind of felt like, a lot of the issues on that issues list weren't a massive problem, and so I decided to go through it, and we'll show that in the main show. So
yeah, it's actually a pretty nice list, in terms of what's actually broken, what's just marked as like something that needs to be fixed but isn't like a priority by any means, and then stuff that just like exists but nobody cares about. And it's not a short list. Like it's 124 or my bad, there's 253 items on the list.
Yeah, and that, like, when you say that number, yeah, that does seem like a lot. But when you consider that the game is pretty massive, and a lot of the issues on that issue list is like, spelling issues or slight animation issues or that kind of stuff, like those can ramp up and get into the hundreds fairly quickly. Absolutely.
I just don't think that there's I never want it to come across like I don't think there's anything wrong with the game, because obviously like there's things they need to fix. There's a lot of things that I've been suggesting that they fix.
There is.
For quite a while. But I don't think that the company being honest about like, hey, here's our known issues, is a bad thing. I think
I don't think so either.
There's hundreds of these. The low priority list is 124 of them that are just not even a big deal.
I mean, we can go into it. Like, we can go into it in the show as like, what I obviously I made sort of a judgment call as to what I consider to be high priority, low priority, and just basically vaporware, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Or vapor issues. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't think that's a thing. But you know, I think I did a good job in terms of, you know, calling out bad issues and in, like, basically non-existent issues, really. But you know, you can all we'll be going through it, and you guys can you know, make your judgments as to whether I did a good job there or not. But it's yeah, I mean, it's the other thing is, as well, there was some duplicates in there, and there's also some stuff from previous months in there as well. So, you know, it's not a case of like the patch hit and we went from like 5 issues to 250 something. So, you know, that's another thing. Yeah.
I have not received the official like wave off on patch notes, so they may be a thing.
Mm.
We can, of course, talk about last week's patch as well, or we will talk about last week's patch as well, because, you know, anybody who isn't, you know, under a rock at the moment knows that the content itself, Mutators, is fun, engaging. You know, it's good content. It's a good way to make replayable. That said, I think that they need to address some other issues. They also need to potentially get back on the server merger train, because that's
I have some issues with the server merger. I have some issues with the server merger stuff. Like, some of what Scott Lane has kind of said in previous like videos regarding balances with the factions, and, you know, obviously work that was ongoing to deal with that. It seems as though, you know, that kind of almost coded kind of talk was essentially them saying that the server mergers were basically that.
Yeah.
Which to me is to me that is not a fix. Like, considering how fluid players can be when it comes to going from one server to another, or, you know, transferring from one server to another, like, I don't consider that to be a fix. Like,
yes.
And we've seen how, you know, the state of various different factions in various different servers have, you know, clearly not become, you know, nice and balanced. Let's put it that way. So, yeah.
And of course, Reddit shit the bed over the weekend.
Oh, of course they did.
In true fashion, you know.
If it changes, they will shit on. They will complain. If it doesn't change, they'll complain.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the nature of Reddit, really. It's the nature of, you know, a place to shout at the clouds from. Right? Or am I being cynical?
Yeah. I mean, that's Reddit. It's just shout at everything.
Right?
The struggle is a true struggle.
The struggle is real.
Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, people, one of the problems right now with Reddit is that there's a lot of people that no longer play the game that are still there just to shit on things. And
yes,
in many cases post things that are factually inaccurate because they don't play the game anymore. They're just there to shit on things.
I was literally in an argument today with two people who were complaining about the game and how the game is not worth playing, and they were referencing things that were factually inaccurate.
Yeah.
And I was trying to point out to them that what they were saying was factually inaccurate, but they would have none of it. They were just like, no, like, you know, no, I'm right and you're wrong. It's like, no, well, who's been playing the game? Who? Because you haven't, clearly. But I have. And it's just one of those things where, you know, you can say to people that, you know, the game's moved on and changed and updated and stuff like that, but like sometimes people just don't want to listen. And yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that situation.
Yeah.
You know. If you guys out there know what to do in that situation, please let me know. It's like, Jesus. But other than New World, what we've been doing what have you been up to like this past like couple of weeks?
So,
and what have you out there been doing?
So I have been playing a combination of things in my spare time, and by spare time I mean not nearly as much time as I would want. I've been playing Timberborn, which is kind of like a, you know, city builder resource balancing simulator, which is it's really actually kind of a cool game. It's got really great water physics. I put a decent amount of time into that. I've also been playing a game that I can't talk about until much later on.
Okay.
And we'll find out about that at the appropriate time.
Nice.
So,
yes.
Needless to say, I will when you guys find out what game it is, you'll be excited. We'll all be excited. There'll be a lot of things to talk about. I
don't think you'll be overly surprised.
I think it's going to be one of the next big things.
New World 2, New World Redux. I don't think you'll be too surprised as to, you know, the game. But you know, yeah. Technically, I guess we can't really talk about, you know, what we're doing there at the moment.
In a completely unrelated tangent, you know, I think it's worth talking about the fact that Lost Ark comes out for those that bought pre-orders for the Founder Packs on the 8th, which is next week. And for those that didn't buy a Founders Pack and want to play for free, which is totally possible, and something you should totally do because it's free, like... Why not? Like, I mean, that in itself, do it because it's free. It's worth a go. You know, I've had the opportunity to play in the betas for Lost Ark and, you know, some of the earlier alphas, and functionally, the game is wonderful. Like, if you and I know that there are people in the Lost Ark community that are going to like shit the bed when I say this. If you enjoyed Diablo, but also enjoy aspects of MMOs, like character progression that is meaningful, building up, you know, a nice size group of alts with not a ton of time to get to the end game. Like, you know, the average on the Russian and Korean servers is about 12 to 14 hours to level a character to what is referred to as max level, but then, you know, you have kind of your gear score grind beyond that. You know, there very much is a solid game there. It's been out for 2 years already. They're releasing it for pretty much the rest of the world, barring like 4 countries that it's been in for a while. To give you guys an idea of the size of this game, it's only been out in Korea, Japan, and Russia.
Yeah.
for like 2 years. It has more than 200,000 concurrent players in 3 countries. Like, if that's not a measure of success, I don't know what the hell is. You know, and that's 2 years in. You know, and they're about to open the game up for free to everyone. Now, of course, everybody knows, like, hey, it's a free-to-play game. It is what it is. McLeod with his sneaky sub. I see that. I see that. Yeah. Actually, that reminds me, I should probably...
Actually, I literally had a pop-up and I was like, oh crap, I've got a free sub to throw to myself. Why the fuck not, right?
See, I always forget that I have that because it's tied to a different account that I'm never logged into.
Yeah, you should get on that.
Yeah, I should. Also, did anybody else get the update for Android today that, you know,
I didn't, because I'm on the Apple ecosystem right now.
Oh, gross.
You may you say gross, but then again, like I jumped on the iPhone LE 2nd generation, so sorry, SE. Is it SE? I think it's SE. So, you know, and that was a fucking great deal. For what you get, it's fucking awesome. Obviously, it's been eclipsed by now, but... You know.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping that they'll start to roll out the PTR at some point. Maybe not this week, maybe next week. I mean, 3, yeah. It's then again, like February is a fairly short month. We're only just into February, and February is only like 3 weeks. So you know, well, yeah, well, no. I think they'll probably release it next Tuesday or something along those lines. That's how I feel anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what else is big in oh, there's 2 huge gaming stories.
There's the
one's a little bit bigger than the other. Like
there's the Microsoft one. Yeah.
So Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard King for close to $60 billion. And then the slightly smaller news, by a factor of a lot, is that Bungie is being bought by Sony.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting move. Which
the funny thing is
could mean that Halo. Isn't Halo the one made by Bungie?
No, Halo was originally made by Bungie, but they offloaded it to
like 303
what's it called? Yeah, something like that, 343 or something.
Yeah.
Like, let me just check this because I know because it's on the it is literally on the
Destiny is
Xbox Game
still
Pass.
under them though, right?
343 Industries, yeah, 343. Bungie, Destiny is still being made by Bungie. And they released a thing saying that Destiny is still going to be cross-platform. It's still going to be all the usual stuff. So people shouldn't like freak out about about the acquisition.
Yeah.
But yeah, Halo at this point in time is being developed by 343, which is it is literally a Microsoft studio now. So it has been for a while.
And I know, as said in chat here too, Netflix has also started purchasing up game studios. All told, this really isn't a good thing, because the more market consolidation there is, there's no going back. Like once they're purchased and put into these conglomerates, there's no return to free market with independent studios.
Yeah, they don't generally tend to dissolve and go their separate ways. They tend to sort of reside there. I think the way that the market or the way that the industry sort of tends to self-rectify in that situation is the soul of the product kind of goes out, like you see with various different things that's happening with, say things like
Battlefield,
for example, right? And some of the Call of Duty stuff, and when that kind of happens, you have situations where sometimes the conglomerate kind of leaders or the big kind of umbrella sort of organization like guts out the studios, and invariably the talent from those studios goes and finds another studio to be a part of, or in the case of, like, say for example Amazon, they coalesce into a new studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's an independent studio or whether they have the backing from a larger company like Amazon, for example.
But this actually happens in a ton of different places. For instance, similar thing happened with some of the people who used to work at the company. I forget the company's name that made the XLR mixer.
Oh, TC Helion.
Yeah. So on occasion, companies will kind of break out of the normal and kind of create this this other space, or like they might want more freedom for creative purposes. And it is rare that I like talk about specific products on the show. It really is very rare that I talk about specific products on the show. But I wanted to bring up BEACN.
Yes.
So these guys launched yesterday, I think. Yeah, yesterday. And functionally speaking, we are not sponsored in any way. They don't have a clue that we're doing this. We don't have any of their equipment. But the functionality that they've put into these two devices, the BEACN mic and the BEACN mixer and the BEACN Mix Create, are amazing. Like the level of like audio control that they're showing off, the ability for sub mixes and all of this in a simplified setup that just doesn't seem difficult to use. Like, I saw the videos behind these and I'm like, I want one. And like, again, it's rare that I make recommendations on a show, but like, I think that this is going to take off, because this is, to give people an idea what these devices cost, it's a $280 microphone, so that's not cheap, but it has the full suite of software and everything and onboard processing in the microphone.
Yeah, that's actually really important as well. Like, because a lot of say things like, for example, what I have at the moment is I run from this into a Wave XLR, and the Wave XLR basically has the ability to put VST plugins into it, but that is basically being run by the CPU on my computer. And obviously that takes resources, right? It may not take that much resources, but it still takes resources, right? So the difference between that and the BEACN mic obviously is that it has onboard DSP, so the it's not being offlined or offloaded onto your CPU at all. So that's really good.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of like really cool kind of features as well with the DSP, because like what was the there was like a speech kind of level graph. That's like really, really cool to see. That's a really, really good representation of, you know, how loud your microphone actually is. Like in a good speeching kind of thing. Yeah. It's a fairly lengthy time graph, so it shows like your speech level over time kind of thing, rather than just the frequency. If you know what I mean. So it's really good at being able to understand how loud your mic actually is, you know, throughout, like, say, a full sentence for example. So that's actually genuinely really useful. And you know, some of the content creators who have showcased you know, the microphone and the other kind of like peripherals and stuff have kind of said that you know, it's surprising that there's nothing else with that kind of visualization, because it's actually really useful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and it's that kind of usability that like brings me to it as like something that I want, because it just makes things simple. It also, like, instead of relying on manual inputs on the back of these devices, it's connected via USB and automatically detects all of your sources. So you can create submixes and all of that automatically without having to plug in any additional wires and have, you know, like, I mean, most people don't know this, but like, you know, if any major streamer that has like an XLR microphone or anything like that, you've got many pieces of equipment on your desk. Like, it's not just your computer anymore. You've now got a mic amp, you've got your, you know, your audio amp for your headset, you've got your stream deck, you know, like, it's not an inexpensive setup. And like, finding a setup that works is often actually really expensive. So I'm hoping that these guys' product is as good as it's being reviewed to be.
Hopefully it is. Like, I want to see how, like, I want to eventually see how it's kind of functioning, how it ties in, how the BEACN mix and the mix create kind of like functions. Because like the way it's described, I'm like, they're going like, well, how does it do that? Because that's some pretty clever trickery in terms of being able to have a device that controls all of your sound on your PC without, like, you know, completely taking over, I guess. But I guess maybe that's what it does. I don't know. Like, but either way, it's top of the hour, man.
Yep. To answer the question from chat before we get started, no, the game is far from dead, and I'm even going to make that as one of the topics for the show. So let's get into it.